Hey guys, I have gotten calls like the last million times that I've been trying to start this reading, so we're making it happen. But I wanted to do a collective reading, just because we just had our like new moon. That was all. I forget if it was the solar eclipse or something like that, but I know that it's bringing up a lot of emotions, and it's kind of the new moon's in Cancer, so it's a good time to recognize like emotional patterns, just recognize things in yourself, and that's kind of what I got from the card pull. I pre-pulled them just because the way I shuffle, like that. Sometimes the cards like go everywhere, and I didn't really feel like searching under the table on the video while the video is going. But it was really interesting because the first two cards I pulled were Ten of Wands and Ten of Swords. So it looks like, some of you guys are going through some heavy burdens. This is kind of the general, like, take it as it resonates. This is kind of just a general, reading for the collective on this, new moon. But, I mean, we got some heavy burdens, and we got, like, someone just being, like, really in their head. This is about cycles, getting stuck in your head. Like, it's also about endings, completions, new beginnings. And I do see a new beginning with the Hanged Man. So it's interesting too because this is my animal spirit deck and I love it. But spiders also are kind of help us, remind us sometimes. I mean, there can be different meanings for different things, but spiders sometimes remind us to not weave our own webs. So don't get caught up in these little stories that you have in your head. I actually saw a spider just like this, and it was actually as big as this, coming down from my ceiling the other day, too, and that's kind of like what I pulled out of that, as well. So I do see that like some of you guys are looking for, we got the Justice card, so some of you guys are looking for some situation to, not even a situation, I just feel like things to start working out in your favor, and I really do think it is. I see a new opportunity, and I do see a new opportunity in, if some of you guys are having issues with relationships. The last couple times I've done collective readings, I've pulled the Two of Cups, so I do feel like, whoever your person is feels, it's just, you guys might be stuck up in this Ten of Swords and not even realize it. So sometimes Cancer is a good time to look at those and just recognize those things. Recognize where your stuff is too. There's definitely a time to, I think, like honor your emotions and make sure that you're doing that, but also make sure you're checking in on yourself too, and you're double checking yourself, because that's important. That's something that all of us can do. I definitely have to check myself sometimes, but we have the Wheel of Fortune. So again, things turning in a positive direction. It's a really good time for manifesting. It's a really good time for, I really feel like you're in control of your life. It feels like you might feel like a lot of is going on with this Ten of Wands, and you're not really sure how to handle it all. But I really do feel like, for a lot of you guys, it's not going to be shutting off or isolating like maybe you're used to. It's okay to pull back and make sure that you're steady in your energy. Like, you don't owe people, you don't have to give yourself to situations if you know that you need time to, be cool and figure out yourself, and to move forward with things. But I do feel like maybe isolating isn't the best thing. We have the Three of Pentacles. These two are about community. They're about not isolating. It's funny because this card always reminds me of Three of Cups, and I know it's Three of Pentacles, but still kind of the same message, is just working well with people. I feel like you're not working well with people. We got Two of Swords, so this reading is really just about, and I can tell why I got this. I had pulled this on this like new moon type of thing. Bear with me, my like throat's been going out like every time I have been doing live. So, but anyways, I really feel like it's important to recognize your faults and recognize where you can improve sometimes. And I think it's hard because, especially in the spiritual community, um, I think a lot of people, there's a lot of focus on like positivity and like just do things this way and you have to be this certain way. And you don't have to fit in a box. You don't have to fit into you don't have to be perfect all the time to be like enlightened, you know. I'm a very spiritual person. I also still cuss on my videos, you know. It doesn't take away from the fact that I am who I am. It doesn't take away from the fact that, you know, from any of those things. And sometimes I think, drink out of my kitty cup. I think sometimes, you know, we get caught up in like certain things. This card, I don't know, just like everything that I'm getting from this right now is really just taking this time, like around this, you know, sometimes the moons too, when they go through cycles, I feel like they give us excuses to go into things that maybe we haven't been willing to go into in the past. So with this one, Cancer is a very emotional one. You know, maybe it's time to evaluate your emotions and how you deal with things. I actually just got a chance recently. Sometimes when things come up too, I try to see like the opportunities in them, even if it's like hard and you know it's painful, because I think ultimately you only really grow from that. You don't really grow from a place of being comfortable, you know. So the good thing is when we go through those shitty times, I think it really gives you a chance to look at yourself and examine yourself and things like that. And something that I have noticed that I definitely need to work on is, you know, I push people away a lot. And I noticed that, you know, for me, I've been kind of doing this thing for a while where I'll tell myself that someone doesn't care about me, or I'll tell myself that, you know, making up these stories basically. It kind of the opposite of when girls fall for a guy and then they build these stories of like, oh, he's really into me, like he really likes me. And like he, you know what I'm talking about. Like you guys all have that friend that's like, no, I think that he's just, and I think that was me at one time. I think when I was younger, I was like that a lot, where I would be, you know, in a relationship with somebody and they'd be treating me really bad. And I would kind of be like, well, you know, like this is going on in their life and they're busy and it's okay because, you know, probably like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, you know, but I think I talk a lot about like vulnerability and how sometimes we close off to like we think that that makes us stronger, and then really the real strength is like opening up to the vulnerability. And again, you know, after you've been hurt and just going through life like that anyways, and being open. And I think I didn't realize that, you know, sometimes I think it's kind of the same when you're a very giving person and you're a very trustworthy person and you have that, you know, you go through things in life and you have that trust tested. I think sometimes you get kind of the opposite way, you know, where you tell yourself that someone doesn't care about you or someone doesn't like you, or, you know, this isn't real or something. You tell yourself those things so that it doesn't hurt as much and you can leave easier. it's easier for you to leave the situation. Um, when you get nervous or something, and I think this new moon, that's something that like I was able to recognize in myself, and I don't want to have that same pattern go on. So I definitely think it's good to see things like that. And if you have things to work on, like you don't have to isolate yourself and be by yourself and be like, I can't be with anyone until I go through these things. It's also not okay for you to punish people while you're going through that. So if you need to take some time and space for you to like get back into your own energy and figure things out and try to work through that, because be honest with yourself too, sometimes if you have an issue that's similar to that. Sorry guys, I just want to make sure still there's some stuff going on outside. But if you guys have issues similar to that, it's be honest with yourself on and realistic with how long that's going to take to work out. For me, this isn't something that I've known this for a while. I have some trust issues, and I can be a little bit stubborn sometimes, with that. But I think that like it's good to be really honest with yourself in situations like that. And now, and in this case, I think I've known that I've had that for a long time, but I think I have let myself tell myself the story that I need to be that way, because it allows myself to not get in bad situations, not, trick myself, not make myself, XYZ, whatever I've come up with. And what I've realized is that, those are just stories, and it's not really something I need anymore. It's not something that I need to do. I don't need to tell myself that, other people don't care about me. And ultimately it's not another person's job to convince you. When you go at it a way like that, it's almost like you make it the other person's job to convince you that they do care about you. And ultimately, if I have that problem, that's my problem, believing that other people can care about me in that way, and not have it, turn into a bad situation. So I just thought that was important to say because, for a couple reasons. The first is we all have problems, we all go through things. And so I think it's important sometimes to be transparent about things and, to talk about stuff that is vulnerable and is, hard to talk about because maybe there's somebody else that is going through the same thing and having a hard time. But also, even if that's not your same situation, take the time to look at the things that you're doing and see what you've created to protect yourself and what doesn't really serve you anymore and you can let go of. And make sure that when you do let go of those things too, you're letting go of them for you. You're not letting go of them because of another person, or you're not letting go of them because, I really believe in this person, or I really believe that, this is different, or they're going to prove me wrong, or something like that, because then you're putting everything into another person. You don't want to do that ever. Make sure that if you are feeling in that way, you're doing it for you, and you're doing it because you recognize that that's a pattern that you don't want to continue, and that is a false story that